Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the second part of my Which Clan is For You videos. And yeah, today we're gonna go over the next 7 clans in a row. If you missed the first video, I'm gonna put that down in the description. So if you wanna check out the first 7 clans that we went through, that would be Stag to Snake. Yeah, feel free to check that out. Today we're gonna go from Dragon to Rat, and there will be a third video where we're gonna talk about Eagle to Hippo. So yeah, let's not lose any time and jump straight into the Dragon Clan, the Nidhogg. Yeah, difficulty to learn, relatively high, is because, the Dragon Clan has a relatively special system. You still have your villagers, like usually, but in addition to that, you also start with 2 thralls into the game. You can also buy new thralls, like it will start at 40 crowns. As soon as you buy the thralls, the cost will go up to 80 crowns, and then slowly fall lower and lower. There are also lures where you can, reduce this price and the time that it needs to decrease the price here with thrall trade that we're going to talk about later. But thralls generally are like villagers. They will generally grab food when they are doing nothing special. While they do that, they will grab 50% of the resources a villager would, but only consume 33% of the resources a villager would. That is also already pretty good. Then you can also put them into buildings where like the same rule applies, but you can only put 1 thrall per building, 1 thrall on each building, which you can later on also rise with another lore that you can go for. So yeah, thralls are relatively strong. If that would be the only thing about thralls, that would be pretty great. But of course, there's also a downside to that. Otherwise, thralls would be completely overpowered. The thing is, you have like a little bar on top of your screen as the Dragon Clan. This is like your Dragon Gauge, basically. And in this, there are different bonuses that you can go for. And the further your bar is filled, the more of the bonuses you can get, or the deeper you can get into it. Like you will only get 1 bonus, but you can get deeper into it. Thralls can give you a little bit more of this gauge. Like each villager will basically give you 2 boxes. Each thrall will give you 3 boxes. But how far this bar will drain is basically based on how much thralls you have in comparison to your villagers. So if you would have 10 villagers and only 1 thrall, the bar would basically not deplete at all. Like it would generally just go like the time goes, and maybe even drain a little bit slower than the time goes. When you have 1 villager and 10 thralls, it would basically just drain the bar instantly. So yeah, just 2 extreme examples here, but generally the more thralls you have in comparison to your villagers, the faster that bar will drain, and that is usually the reason why it doesn't give you all too much to have 20 thralls and just 10 villagers. It won't help you because you need to permanently sacrifice villagers and thralls then to actually keep that bar up. Just to explain the thrall system there, which is already relatively complicated here with the sacrificial buyer, but is basically the lifeline of the whole clan. You will also need each one of these boxes when you want to convert a military unit, because on the Dragon Clan you have access to none of the normal military units, which would be warriors, axe throwers, or shield bearers, but you have access to the draconic altar, in which you can get the Dragonkin as first, and later on when you got 500 fame you can get the draconic nightmare. The Dragonkin is pretty strong. Has a pretty good amount of health, like is stronger in a 1v1 against the warrior, shield bearer, or axe thrower. It will always win. It's a little bit beefier than a normal unit. You will need to sacrifice a villager when you get a Dragonkin. You can later on not reconvert it back into a villager. You will need to sacrifice it if you want to do something with it. And when you upgrade them, they have a whirlwind attack, which is basically an AoE attack surrounding them, which is one of the few units in Northgard, beside of the big giants, which can make that happen. And therefore, quite the crowd control there, basically. So if you have a very small fight, the Dragonkins can be extremely strong. And in the later stages of the game, also the Draconic Nightmares, which you can basically convert by already getting a Dragonkin and then reconverting it again in your Dragonkin altar, then you will get a Draconic Nightmare. They can basically soak up damage for your Dragonkin in late game fights when you get the upgrade for them. They're a very, very key unit and also pretty fierce to fight against. So yeah, can be pretty fun to go with the Draconic Nightmares here. To go back onto the general clan bonuses, one thing I have not told yet is that your civilians can go into neutral territory. So you can send your villagers and thralls just out of your territory, right out of the tile, and clear out wolves, for example, which can be kind of nice. It means you oftentimes don't need an early game clear. You can just do it yourself with your villagers. And even if your villagers and thralls are low, you get no happiness malus for having them low, and they will not produce less like every other wounded unit in Northgard. So having low units doesn't really care, like Dragon doesn't really care too much about that. And you will rarely see the dragon heal something because you can just sacrifice the villager if it's low and you're like scared to lose it, which would of course not be great. You can just throw it into a sacrificial pyre and get a little bit of dragon gauge for that, which you're gonna need to convert units and everything. So yeah, that can be a nice way of dealing with things. Generally, 200 fame, you will get 5 extra thralls, and your Dragon Essence gauge is extended, so you will get a little bit of a bigger part of that. That will also happen when you go for your 500 bonus. Like, it will always extend a little bit, giving you more room for filling up more bars, basically to give you more time until it drains. Plus, you get access to more bonuses because you can see more bonuses deeper into the time. So that is pretty nice. But the 5 thralls is definitely a big difference maker, because at this point you will probably be quite gassing with your eco. I usually sacrifice villagers up until the point where 200 fame hits and just the amount of thralls gets really, really high. At this point, the gauge just drains way too quickly, and at that point I will just start throwing thralls away, because they give you a little bit more dragon essence, plus they will also not drain your bar then as much when you have a few less of them. At 500 fame, you can now train the Draconic Nightmares, like I said before. Send the Dragonkin to the Draconic Altar a second time, and you will now get a Draconic Nightmare. Pretty fierce unit. Shouldn't be your main unit, basically. So if you have 10 army, I would say have maybe like 2 or 3 Draconic Nightmares in there, and the rest should still be Dragonkins, because, the Draconic Nightmares really go into effect with, like, soaking up the damage when they have other units around them, and they're basically not like a main army source where you should, like, you have your whole army out of them. The relic for them, the School of Hrungnir, pretty interesting relic. It is pretty fun. It is hard to get into ranked games, so it's not like a full meme relic, I would say, because it's definitely pretty strong. You get a Draconic Jotun. You need 200 food for that, and you can spawn a Draconic Jotun. And the good thing about that is you can't only have one. Like, you spend 200 food, you get the Jotun, and at this point the timer will start 12 minutes, and after this timer you can get the next one. So if you have a pretty late fight, you can sometimes get up to 2 or 3 Draconic Nightmares, Draconic Jotuns to fight with you, which can be really strong. The problem is that if you go for the relic, oftentimes you will need to fight when you only have one of them, which is a hard way up. Like, you put a lot of work into the relic, like your eco is considerably weaker than if you would have not gone for the relic. So the giant really needs to do a lot of work, and that is usually not really possible. As soon as you get 2 or 3, the relic is absolutely worth it, but oftentimes you won't really have the time to make that work. Still very fun relic, and especially in free-for-all, so somebody isn't attacking you and you maybe go into 804, 805. Man, you can have so many Jotuns, you're basically unbeatable. So yeah, the relic can be really good. Problem is you oftentimes don't really get enough time to really make it work here. So let's check out the lores. We already talked about them a little bit. Let's check the upper tree first here. That is a Blood, Sweat, and Tears. That would be the lore that would enable you to put 1 extra thrall on each resource building. So you can now, on your farm, you can have 2 thralls. On your dock, you can have 2 thralls. So it makes it a little bit easier to put them around the buildings. And now also that thralls that are assigned to an upgraded building increase the specialized workers' production by 10%. So we'll even buff the production of your farmers, of your sailors, whatever, with putting thralls into the building, which I think is pretty good. Like, the economy early game can be insane with Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Thrall trade will help you to get more thralls more easily. Will also enable you to sacrifice thralls a lot earlier than I have said there. Thralls are 50% cheaper, so you will not pay 40 gold at minimum anymore. It's now 20 gold. And the minimum price is also reduced by 50%. The Dragon Essence Gauge decreases 30% slower. That's big important, because means you need to send less villagers and thralls in there, which then means you have more villagers and thralls, so your eco is better. And the price of thralls decreases 5% faster, which is also quite a difference there, because will just enable you to buy more thralls more often, enables you to sacrifice them more often, because oftentimes you have a bit of a problem to really get onto villager numbers because you're sacrificing so much. With this here, it all gets a lot easier. So, Draconic Frenzy, really interesting lore when you fight with one unit alone in a tile, because it will get 100% extra attack power if they are alone in the zone. If there are 2 units in the zone, they both get 50% of a bonus. If there are 3 units in the zone, they all get 33% of a bonus. So it gets weaker and weaker the more units you have in the tile. But for a singular unit, especially when you get attacked and you only have your chief to defend, him doing plus 100% extra damage can be absolutely insane. Then we have the capture lore. Very interesting lore. Military units have a chance to capture killed neutral faction units. The chance of capture is increased by 50% if Sutor is in the zone. And that actually triggers relatively often, I gotta say. There's no exact number on how often it actually triggers, but I can say it feels like it triggers relatively often. Only downside is that the units that you recruit also count towards your thrall count, which basically means that your Dragon Gauge will drain a lot quicker, so it doesn't really make sense to have them up permanently, but it can be pretty cool to have a few captured elves, to have a few captured giants in your army. Maybe you are able to capture them just before you fight against your opponent, and then it can be really worthy. Just a bit of a downside that it's not really possible to keep them around permanently. I guess when you have a draconic giant, I guess that's worth it, while they will take the spot of 4 thralls, when I understood that correctly. Don't know if that's the exact correct number, but they will count for multiple thralls. So having 1 kobold is not equivalent to having 1 giant, but 1 giant is equivalent to having 4 kobolds. If that number is wrong, put it down into the comments, but I think it's somewhere around there. Let it be 3, let it be 5, but I'm pretty sure it's 4, honestly. So, for the last special lore here, we have Draconic Rage. Draconic units have 50% more attack power, really good. And if you have available warband slots, capturing a unit have a chance to be converted in Dragonkin if Sutor is in the zone, which is pretty good, because Dragonkin in the end is your normal unit and will not drain your Dragon Gauge. So Draconic Rage, definitely a very important lore here for the Dragon Clan. For the lore tree, what you would usually do, I personally still really like going mining efficiency into coinage or shipbuilding, whatever you want to do. It's usually shipbuilding, to be honest. So mining efficiency into shipbuilding, into carpentry mastery, draconic frenzy into fur, into feeling safe. I think this is a pretty good feel-good build where you can get into the Dragon Clan pretty good. I think it's very straightforward, because you get your happiness later with feeling safe, and with carpentry mastery you're able to upgrade a lot of your camps, which will give you a lot of happiness. And since each of your draconic altars will only give you 1 warband when it's not upgraded, upgrading a lot of them can be really helpful. The upper tree is also really good. So these days you can easily go from sharp access into thrall trade and then into the middle tree, or even just sharp access into thrall trade, maybe catching up shipbuilding or coinage over here and then going into the mid tree. There's definitely different builds open to you right now. I think the feel-good build that is pretty easy when you want to get into the clan is still carpentry mastery into feeling safe, but then I would definitely venture out into the upper tree, because it's extremely strong and probably a lot stronger than just the lower tree build. So In summary, the Dragon Clan is pretty strong. Like you can see, development and military very high, and I would also say that's definitely true. Support-wise, yeah, not all too strong. I guess I could say you could, because your villagers can go out of your territory. When your clear clan is running around, you can sometimes bait a few neutrals with your villagers and run in circles or something like that. So for that, the villagers can be quite helpful, and that would be some kind of support. Other than that, you won't see a lot of the Dragon Clan. The army is extremely fierce. I think we have one of the strongest late game clans over here, because a big mass out of Dragonkins, Draconic Nightmares, and maybe even Draconic Jotnons is very hard to beat, especially when you don't have any ranged units around. So if you're going against the dragon, I would definitely advise you to get a few ranged units to fight against the AoE from Dragon Clan. And yeah, let's get to the end with the dragon here. That was quite the long one. There's quite a few specialties going on for the Dragon Clan. So yeah, still think it's a really good clan. And yeah, worth playing, even though it's a little bit difficult to learn. Yeah, a little bit weird with the thralls and your sacrificial pyre and everything. But as soon as you get the hold of it, you have one of the strongest eco clans in Northgard in front of you. So let's jump over to the Horse Clan. Just recently got buffed quite hard with the Definitive Edition update. Yeah, will now be a lot stronger here. Difficulty to learn, relatively low, I would also say so. Development might be a little bit stronger these days. Like, development is really strong with the current updates. Is it enough for 3 stars? I don't know, but it's relatively strong. Maybe 2.5 stars, let's say that. Military, yeah, there's nothing special about it, and there's not a lot support coming out of the clan, making it look quite weak, but I can tell you, after the update, it's definitely doing really well again, and it was always a super fun clan to play. One of my favorite clans to play, because it really feels like the lores and everything are really well thought out to work together, and yeah, the clan can reach pretty strong points with that. First, the general bonuses here. You don't have any access to mines, you can't build miners, you also can't build a smithy, but you have Völund's Forge, which is basically a building where you can pop out your chiefs, and which will be your forge for the rest of the game. This building is free now, so you can get it just for free whenever you want. You can also destroy it and rebuild it. You will still need to pay taxes for the building. But in the end, you can just build up the forge and get your chiefs out of that forge for free. I said chiefs because you have 2 war chiefs. You have Atria and Brok. Both of them are not really that strong. They have like 10 attacks, so they're basically as strong as warriors. Have a little bit more health. Obviously, they're war chiefs, but they're really not as strong as other war chiefs in the game. What they can do, though, is they can build, they can mine, and they can forge everything what you need, which you're gonna need because none of your villagers can do it for you. So you're gonna need your war chiefs for that. Your war chiefs can build, repair, mine, and forge 40% faster than a villager could. So that gives you a pretty potent amount of resource that you can get, and will usually lead you into, when your game starts, you're trying to get your war chiefs as soon as possible, because they're gonna do all the mining and all the forging for you. They can also build and repair if you're down for that. Sometimes it can be pretty interesting to smack down an altar really fast with the chiefs, but oftentimes you're gonna have them mining and forging, because they are the only units that can do that, and you want to let them do that as often as possible. So, a bit of a, you wouldn't even say that's a full nerf anymore, right? The Ruins and Shipwreck provide a minus 25% crowns than it would for other clans, and these days it's not 100 gold anymore, it's just 75 gold. So with the minus 25% crowns, you end up at like 55 gold or something. On top of that, you get 5 stone and 5 iron. No? That was an update that were added to the Horse Clan because the starts were a little bit too explosive expensive when you ended up with a ruin or a shipwreck, and they wanted to even it out a little bit. So yeah, they gave the horse clan a little bit less resources for that, but you get the stone and iron now on top of that, and now you get 20 gold less for getting 5 stone or iron. I think this is a pretty good trade, honestly. Like, don't really see that much of a nerf anymore, because yeah, you can get your chiefs relatively straightforward. You oftentimes need to build a market or a ship, a dock pretty early into the game, so you can get both of your chiefs, but it is definitely worth it when you can get the chance, if you get the chance. So 200 fame, pretty huge bonus for the horse clan, because when your war chiefs are in the same zone, they mine and forge 50% faster. Since this is the most of the time the only thing that they do all game, it's a 50% buff for everything your war chiefs do, basically. So really big 200 bonus. You should try to get it really fast. Also, selling stone or iron earns you 20% extra crowns, and neutral factions will accept stone or iron now, basically like for the boar clan. On top of that, allies and neutral factions receive double the resources. While this is mostly interesting for your allies, of course, since yeah, neutrals, you don't really care how much stone they actually get from you when you trade it over, but it will be the same amount of stone that you trade away, but your teammate will get a little bit more of it, which can be pretty good when you're actually trading teammates. So trading for horse definitely quite possible, especially when you trade away your minerals, from which you're gonna have like a lot of them because of the 500 bonus that we're gonna get in now. On 500, you discover 2 stone and 2 iron deposits in your territory. Zones with adjacent to an active relic gain 15% production bonus. There we go. Plus 15% production bonus. It is not stackable. That comes, yeah, goes quite good with the horse clan wanting to build quite a few relics. We're gonna go with that when we go into the lore tree. But the extra stone and iron is absolutely insane. I think it's 22 stone per stone. However, you know what I mean, right? Per stone that you get. So you get 44 stone for that, and 22 iron, basically, because the iron ore will be 11 per ore. So you get 22 iron, you get 44 stone at that point, and at this point you had already quite a few of resources. So you're basically going to be drowning in minerals. Your chiefs will be be forging, or not forging, but we will be mining them really fast. So yeah, can be quite huge, and therefore like trading it away can be quite big also, like the extra minerals that you have at that point. Even though I really like docks on the horse clan, but trading away the minerals is actually a big thing you shouldn't underestimate. Yeah, active relics. Let's talk about the horse clan relic, which is actually one of the weakest relics when you go for the horse clan. Your war chiefs gain 20% attack power, defense, and health. Their mining and forging speed is also increased by 20%, which is on theory pretty good, but like the war chiefs aren't really that strong anymore from their base amount. So even if you go for legendary heroes later, in comparison with that relic, they will be relatively tanky and good, but they will still not be great units. Like Thorfinn will still wipe the floor with them. So yeah, I usually don't go for the relic that often. For the meta relic for the horse clan would probably be the lore relic. I think the jar can also be relatively good in the case that somebody of your team wants to go for the lore relic already and you have to go for something else. And what is always pretty good for horse is you can go for multiple relics because of the lore tree. On top of that, you can also go with the Mjolnir relic, which is pretty good right now after the changes, and I feel like especially for horse might get more or less one of a must-have, because it's a pretty nice relic to get in your bag, and it is super fast to forge. We're gonna get into why that is right now, because we're gonna check the lures out. The first special lore here is Völund's Forge, just recently got buffed. Forging tools, weapons, and relics earns you fame. That was always like that. But forged tools provide an additional plus 7.5 production bonus. So it's not only 7%, not really shown here, but it's 7.5%. It was 5% before, so it basically got a 50% buff, which can be pretty nice. Like on horse, I'm usually trying to get my upgrades relatively fast. Because of that, like the fame game bonus that I get, and of course like the production bonus will be not 15% now but 22.5%, which is pretty huge for an upgrade. So you will see me upgrading most of my jobs, maybe woodcutters, sailors, lore masters even sometimes. Like if whatever upgrade I can get, I will get because of the Verdun's Fireman. It's pretty huge. Here's the most important one, the Ancestral Influence. Relics don't lose a building slot. Use a building slot. You can use an additional relic, maximum 1 relic per zone though. And forging a relic takes 50% less time to forge. And this is why Mjolnir is so fast. Because you already have your chiefs, which forge faster. They forge 40% faster than a villager. On top of that, when you get 200, they will forge 50% faster on top of that. Then Mjolnir itself will always forge 50% faster than all the other relics. And here on Ancestral Influence, you get 15% less time to forge for your relic. This relic will be done in 2 months or something. It's like absolutely insane how fast you can forge relic with Ancestral Influence. And nowadays, it's also very possible to go for the relics when you have Ancestral Influence and don't need to forge them before, which makes the forging time so much quicker, lets your chiefs do other stuff, and lets you have so much more tempo than before. So yeah, Ancestral Influence here on this spot, really, really, really big, and yeah, really, really great lore here for the clan. To another one, that would be the Great Tower. Great Tower is basically an improved, an upgraded tower. Before you had to upgrade your towers twice. Now with the update, you basically have only one upgrade. You have your normal tower, and when you upgrade it, it will become a Great Tower. So there will be no spot in between anymore. Also, the towers that you had already upgraded should convert into Great Towers now, and the next two tower upgrades you get are free. So this lore is really, really strong at this point, honestly, when you defend and you can guarantee that your opponents attack you. Problem is that will oftentimes not really happen, so if you have more of an aggressive game plan going on, fur coats is definitely still the way to go. But I guess with all the bonuses that you get right now, if you are actually doing like a trade victory, a lore victory or something like that, it can basically be worth to go for that lore. There's a lot in it. Problem is, like always with all defensive stuff in Northgard, you need to guarantee that somebody attacks you so you get something out of this lore. Like if you went for Great Tower and you're only pushing all the time, this lore was worthless. Same thing if your teammates get attacked before you get attacked, and like both of your teammates are dead and you are alone, yeah, nice Great Tower you have there. Like this lore didn't give you anything at that point. So yeah, it is situational, but in these situations I think it can be pretty strong these days because all of the bonuses you get for the, and especially the free tower upgrades on top of that. Also, the taxes for the towers will be just as much for a normal upgraded tower nowadays. It's not gonna be even higher than that, so the gold cost will not completely destroy you. So, one of the most important lores for horse. Okay, that's an actual sentence. There we go. Each lore that is extracted, each ore gives you 4 lore. Are you real here? So when you have your chiefs on a mining, basically, they will basically produce lore for you, which is not just a little bit. It is pretty insane. And also with all the faster mining bonuses, you will also get your lore even faster. So lore usually not a big problem for ores as long as you have ores to mine. And yeah, let's go quickly away from this. I can definitely tell you that this is one of the best lores you can have. It is always the first one you go for with ores, so you can start producing extra lore. But there's actually no real downside to it. Like this is gonna be your first lore all of the games. Even if you want to go into the top 3, you're definitely gonna get excavation first. On top of that, we have quality of life here. 1 happiness per zone with an upgraded civilian building, except houses. And that means that you're usually going to try to spread your eco around a little bit and upgrade only 1 building per tile, basically. Your town hall will also count as an upgraded building, so oftentimes people for horse will scout because it's relatively doable for the clan. And then you can break down the scout camp in your main tile, build it somewhere really far away in a tile where you wouldn't really want to upgrade a building, and there you upgrade your scout camp to get 1 extra happiness out of quality of life. So yeah, horse clan, definitely pretty good. Overall, I would say when I'm playing horse, I'm usually going for carpentry mastery these days, so excavation into shipbuilding or coinage, whatever I went for, into carpentry mastery. Then trying, when I have a lot of time, to get into the top tree, get ancestral influence over Verlun's fire, and get my 2 relics, and then go towards the mid tree. If I see there's a lot of aggression going on, sometimes even just into Verlun's fire and then into mid tree, which should generally be possible because you have a bunch of lore to work with, a lot more than other clans would. But yeah, it can be a little bit greedy to go into the upper tree here, and there's a lot of different builds. Like you can also go straight into ancestral influence, and it will also be relatively strong. Yeah, all in all, Horse Clan used to be a bit of a jack of all trades, so could everything relatively good, but nothing good enough to be better than all of the other clans in it. Now it gets a lot stronger. I think it has a way better spot in the meta right now. It was always super fun to play, and it was always relatively strong in its 802 tempo play. I think now it will be even stronger there, so the 802 plays for Horse, where it was home all along, I think are still very alive and very capable. But I think now it can also go a little bit more teeth to teeth with the late game clans. I don't think it's just as strong as a dragon, for example, as a lion, as a stoat. I think it will still have problems against these clans when it goes into ultra late game, because these clans just scale into infinity. I think Horse is pretty close to that, but there's still something that hold it back to be one of the strongest eco clans. Well, this is pretty hard to say currently, because a lot of people also say with the definitive upgrade the Horse actually got overpowered. We will see. I think it is really strong, and maybe it is actually one of the top dogs when it comes to eco, but I definitely see the home for the Horse Clan still in 802, in the tempo plays, where it can really shine, because the timings for the Horse are just really great when it comes to that. So when we speak about 802 timings, let's speak about the Kraken here. Difficulty to learn, yeah, I think it is actually one of the harder clans to learn because of the ghost and what you're gonna do with them. Development-wise, yeah, not omega strong. It will be outpaced by a lot of clans, but in 802 it will have an army that is unmatched by any other clan. The military really strong in 802, yep, and the support would also say relatively low for the clan. In general, you cannot build longship docks with the Kraken Clan. You have no access and access to the, you don't have access to the trade victory. It would be pretty strong. Fishing cabins are 20% more effective though, and fishing cabins are special buildings, not like the fisherman's hut, because you can build it on every single shore. So every single shore will basically be fish already. So if you have coastal tiles, they're instant fish tiles basically. Can be both be used on fish bows and lakes. On non-coastal zones, colonization and building costs are 50% higher for the clan. So if you have non-coastal zones, you should really think about if you just take them like that. Also, your unit's attack power is reduced by 30%. You can only work against that with your ghosts, which you're gonna start one. You're gonna start with one of your spectral warriors. When you sacrifice a spectral warrior, it will give the high tide effect to one of your tiles, which basically means if you have a tile that is non-coastal, where you would need to pay 50% extra cost to colonize it and build buildings on it, you can sacrifice the ghost on it. It will be high tided, and at this point you can now colonize it to a normal cost, and you can build normally on it. Also, the military bonus will be revoked. The military malice will be revoked, so you have normal attack power on the tile. Also, your Höger will replace the brewery, and you will produce wort. Word is basically your happiness. You have a lot of it. You get villagers fast. But other than that, when you get into negative word, your villagers will not start becoming unhappy, which I think is a really big thing. You cannot get unhappy with the Kraken Clan. It's not possible. The only thing what happens when your word goes into the negative numbers, you will start producing ghosts instead of villagers. Your ghosts, you need to high tide tiles. It's also later on important for your 200 fame bonus and everything. And getting ghosts is pretty helpful. Thing is, you need to build Högers to house ghosts, basically. So if you just build a Höger, you have one slot for a ghost. If you upgrade a Herger, it will give you 2 slots, so you will basically need to build a lot of Hergers to get a lot of ghosts, which can be pretty interesting in later stages of the game, but at the start of the game you will usually run around with 1 or 2 ghosts, and yeah, do it like that. You also start with 1 spectral ghost, and yeah, building Herger will give you that. This is basically what I just explained, so yeah, let's go over that. You can also evolve Ceres into Valkyries, which will basically be your brewers. You can turn them into Valkyries, which is an extremely tanky unit, which will start healing automatically if you put it onto an active Herger tile or a tile where High Tide is active on. So extremely strong unit here, very good for clearing you out in the early game, and will cost you 100 gold, but also -3 word basically. If you don't want it anymore, you can also use the Purify effect, which will basically let you sacrifice the Valkyrie on a tile, where you will then take control over this tile instantly, which can be pretty good. You can already do that without an upgrade or anything like that. Later on, you can also do that to your opponents, actually. You run into your opponent's tile, but you need to be right next to them, so you can actually do that. But if you can make that happen, it can be really frustrating for the opponent. So pretty strong effect right here. Let's go into the fame bonus. At first we have Future Sight. Requires you to have 200 fame, and your spectral warriors will increase the zone's production by 15%. This is why you usually try to high tide all the tiles surrounding you. At a certain point you will just start producing ghosts. You try to high tide every single tile that you own, and then afterwards you get 2 ghosts to boost your eco, basically, to get that 15% bonus. Events are now revealed long sooner than other clans. I think it's actually 3 minutes earlier, so remember to tell your teammates when there's a blizzard or something coming, because you will know it the earliest. And your clan feasts each time the Kraken approach the coast, which is in the normal game mode not actually as often if you don't go for the relic. We're talking about that. So Howl of the Sea Master, 500 fame, will give you the ability to get 4 extra spectral warriors in your unit. So you basically get houses for spectral warriors there, which really helps to get big numbers up. And military units killed have a chance to become a spectral warrior, joining your ranks and join your orders. So the chance for that is relatively low when we compare it to the capture effect of Dragon, for example. But it's still extremely strong, because these ghosts really don't have an actual downside for you. If you send them through the territory of your teammates, they will get -10 happiness, so they will not be all too happy about that. But for you personally, there's no actual downside of having a spectral around, so just getting them for free there is huge. When you as a dragon capture something, you of course have the downside of them draining your bar. Here it is just a natural upside, so the chance is a little bit lower, but it's still really good. So let's talk about the relic. Was quite a meme for a long time. Basically, you can force the Kraken event when you get the relic, and the resources that were destroyed by a Kraken will now be given to you, which can be pretty good. The good thing about forcing a dragon attack is that you also will be feasting permanently throughout it, which is basically like the better thing about it. The good thing now that they changed about the relic is your shores are protected from any type of attack. You will not get attacked by ghosts anymore. You will not be able to get raided anymore. So Kraken Clan before this change was one of the weakest clans when it goes against Raven Clan, because when Raven starts raiding you, you will need to not be on your coasts anymore, and Kraken needs to be on its coast, so it was absolutely screwed when playing against the Raven. Now it is actually kind of a counter to it, because you can completely save yourself against the Raven, and then even take the event and let the Raven completely suffer, because his whole gold economy comes from sailors, and you just say, nope, now it's Kraken time, no sailors anymore. So yeah, Kraken actually turned into the absolute hard counter against Raven, from before being like the clan that is weakest against it. I think this is pretty huge, pretty fun now with the relic. I don't know how meta it will get here, but I will definitely play around with it a little bit, and yeah, maybe pick the Kraken in the ranked games against the Raven and see how he looks when I just completely turn off his raids. That I think that should be kind of funny. So let's check out the lores. For the lures, nothing in the upper tree actually, but in the lower tree we have some action. At first we have Endless Tides. Increases your military unit's attack power by 10%, so it is 5% weaker than Weaponsmith these days, and reduces their cost by 15%, and your maximum warband is increased by +1 for each camp that you build. So if you build a war camp, you get free warband, your army will be a little bit cheaper and a little bit stronger. And on top of that, which is really weird in the military tree here, but really, really strong for the Kraken Clan, is that your villagers and spectral warriors arrive 20% faster. So Endless Tides might even be a lore that you could think about going first in the game, because it will give you everything a lot faster and basically like a small recruitment here in the early game. Think it's really, really good. Supposed to make the spectral spawning a little bit more fluid at the start of the game. The spectrals will also generally be a little bit faster than before the update. So yeah, the amount of ghosts that you can now spawn in a short time is absolutely insane, especially with Endless Tides. That also gives you the ability to get a lot more ghosts in the late game fights now, when you can actually prepare for it, build a lot of Hurgers and pump out the ghosts. Usually it were really, really tedious in the later stages of the game because the amount of time it needed to get the later ghosts was so insane, but now a lot more possible and a lot stronger. Really, really interesting. Let's go for Valhalla's reinforcement. Basically straightforward. You can control one extra Valkyrie, and your Valkyries and War Chief will regenerate by regeneration rate will increase by 100%, and it will be active on high tide zones. So yeah, pretty strong here. Your healing will be a lot stronger for your Chief, like your Valkyries. Like what I forgot to say is that your Chief will also be regenerating on your active Hurger tiles. So yeah, Chief also get free healing here for the clan, which can be pretty huge. So two super interesting lores, for example, would be Knowledge from Beyond. It will unlock your trade route to Miklagard. Your trade routes produce 100% extra crowns. That is what every clan gets. But it will also reveal the position of all neutral factions on the map. So you will see like a little bit of a symbol on each of the tiles where you can find neutrals, even if you didn't scout them yet. And your trade routes with neutrals will give you lore. So each route with with like a neutral faction will give you +2 lore, and they will give you extra 20% crowns and relationship on top of that. So you will gain all your lore by trading with neutrals on Kraken, and that works really great. So just having a few markets up into your tiles that are boosted by your ghosts here with 200. Usually I get 2 tiles with like a market, a woodcutter's lodge, a fishing cabin, and maybe a Hurger on top of it, and have that boosted by the spectral warrior, and on top of that like get all my lore out of trading with the market and the neutrals. It can be really strong, really good lore, especially when you still want to find the neutrals. It can help you quite a bit doing that. So, Near the Sea Spirit, also extremely strong. The reason why we at some point just want to high tide all the areas that we own, because areas that have been high tidden generate +1 crown, +1 word, and have +1 extra building slot. And this is huge. It's like every single of your tiles will give you +1 permanent crown production, an extra happiness, and the building slot, of course, don't need to tell you about that. And this is just huge. Yeah, pretty great. High tide, one of the stronger effects as soon as you get near the Sea Spirit. Oftentimes when you want to spawn your ghosts, you don't even want to have this lore at this point, because you get so much word out of it. It's really hard to get into the negative to spawn ghosts. So usually you try to high tide all of your tiles, get 2 ghosts, and afterwards you go for Near the Sea Spirit, because then your happiness can just go through the roof. You don't mind anymore because it's all villagers at that point. Yeah, Kraken Clan in general. Also, oh yeah, one thing I forgot, they have a special blessing over here. Rand's Blessing. When you get that, you get 3 extra spectrals, and the spectral spawn rate will go up by 20%. So even 20% faster spawn for you there. What I usually like is going for Yord's Blessing. So I go for, I don't know, maybe Sharp Access first, then go for Mining Efficiency into Knowledge from Beyond. Try to do my Ghost through, like High Tide all my tiles, get 2 ghosts to trigger the 200 bonus. As soon as I got that, I click on Near the Sea Spirit and go into the mid tree usually. Go for Endless Tide, into Fur Codes, into Valhalla's Reinforcement, Millstrat, Legendary Heroes. The first blessing I will get is Yord's Blessing, but if I have the chance to get a second blessing, like my dream timing is usually I get Yord's Blessing, I have like 7 or 8 lures, and I completely start spawning ghosts, as many as I can, until my bar is completely filled. What it means bar, like my population for ghosts is filled. Let's say I have 7 out of 7 or 8 out of 8 ghosts. Then just before the attack, I go for Lance Blessing, get the extra ghosts on top of that, then have 11, and then go in with 11 ghosts and, I don't know, 15 warriors or something. This will be an army which is absolutely insane, because you usually have 2 Valkyries, you have your chief, you have all these ghosts, you maybe have a bodyguard. Like, the amount of army you can push out in 802 with Kraken is absolutely insane. I think it is the strongest clan when it comes to numbers in 802. The amount of army you can get is really like non-comparable to any other clan. Downside is your ghosts are not really that strong, right? And if you don't fight on a coastal tile, you always need to sacrifice a ghost to actually have a high tide tile that you fight on. Otherwise, you have minus 30% less attack power. So yeah, has its upsides, has its downsides. I still think super fun clan. The relic remains to be seen how strong this actually is these days, but I think it's gonna be super fun, and especially against Raven, a no-brainer. Raven won't have a great time against Kraken anymore, because you can just get that relic so fast and yeah, make it work like this. Let's go for the Ox clan over here. Difficulty to learn, yeah, that can be a little bit iffy. Development is actually not too bad, let's say, but yeah, I can see why the gold production and everything is not as strong as a lot of the other clans. But the military is, of course, absolutely insane. 40 clan as first. Your war chief will be Thorfinn. Thorfinn is a huge guy. It will cost you 150 gold and 15 iron, so it's super expensive, but he's also the strongest war chief of Northgard. He can find ancestral equipments around the map. As first is when you get the war chief, so if you get Thorfinn, after a certain amount of time, the first ancestral equipment will spawn automatically. All the other ones you will need to reach certain thresholds in military experience in. So the more military experience you get, the more of these equipments will spawn. There's a maximum of 6, because there's only 6 different parts. I think it's for the legs, for the breast, and for the helmet, or is it gloves? I don't know. There's 3 different parts basically of your armor, and there's always 2 different versions of each part of your armor that you can get. You can switch around them, you can switch in between them if you like certain a little bit more than others, but yeah, it's not super RNG heavy, because most of them are actually pretty good. There's just some that are pretty interesting, like for example the boots that let you walk a little bit faster in your own territory. Can be pretty huge, because yeah, having your chief faster at where it's needed obviously can make a huge difference. Also, your villagers are a lot tougher, larger, and eat more than other clans, and have a 15% attack power and defense bonus. So yeah, your villagers will do from everything a little bit more. Let's say that they have a little bit more health, they will produce a little bit more food, but also eat a little bit more food. Usually that weighs up quite good. The downside is that you can only have 1 building in one villager in the building. So if you build a hunter's lodge, you can only put 1 villager in there. In a farm, in a ship, in a dock, in a merchant. Like, it doesn't matter. You only get 1 villager in each building. The villagers will produce 40% more, though, except lore masters, which is kind of sad, because that would be pretty strong for the clan. But therefore, you get +2 lore permanently by the throne, where you can summon Thorfinn while you have not summoned him. So there's basically +2 lore production permanently in the early game, which can help you quite a bit, I can tell you. yeah, the specialized units are a lot stronger for you, but there are also, you can put less into a building. So that can be nice in certain parts. The one thing that is pretty good about the Ox Clan because of that is you can usually run around with a quite significant army, like, I don't know, 8, 10 warriors, I don't care, with like the Thorfinn, and you just run around and yeah, your eco is still running. You're still producing food, you're still producing gold, like you still have all your sailors in there. I think that is actually pretty interesting and only really possible because your villagers are a lot more efficient in the buildings. Can be a little bit iffy in the early game though. To really get the eco running, it takes a while because you need to build so many different buildings because there's not a lot of villagers going in there. But as soon as it is running, it is really, really hard to stop. Also, any house, any building, oh yeah, we have that. And houses also hold less people. Every house will only hold 4 people instead of 5, so you will need to build more houses. But you will have less villagers in general. So in the end, that's not really true. You build just as many houses as usually. So yeah, that is like the other thing about that. Let's go for 200 fame. Non-villager unit productions have a bonus depending on the number of military units you control. So oftentimes the Ox Clan will actually run around quite a bit around the map to get some bonus here. With each army that you have, your eco gets a little bit better, and that is why you oftentimes see the Ox running around with quite a amount of army while still pushing their eco as hard as they can. 500 fame, you get my true hero. It's also my true hero. You unlock the ram ability for Thorfinn. He can target an enemy building and he will destroy it immediately by charging at it. Enemy units become feared during the charge. The fear is not even the biggest thing. The biggest thing is you just run into your opponent's territory, and if that happens to be the food building, bye-bye upgraded farm. Is there an altar on the tile, which is of course like the biggest hitter you can have? You just run towards the altar and destroy the altar. You can do it in, I think, 12 months again. I think there's a cooldown of 12 months where you can just destroy buildings. Can be absolutely devastating, and this is why the reason in a lot of clans you just let your opponents push. You don't mind too much. Yeah, they just take away a few tiles. I take the tile back later on when we fought them back, and then I repair the buildings. With Ox it is, oh, they stepped onto the tile. Bye-bye, your building is gone. So this is pretty tough, but the chief definitely the strongest unit here in the Ox Clan, and definitely the main unit. Also because he revolves around the relic, which is one of the strongest relics in the game. It is Aegir. Thorfinn can use provocation, which is basically a taunt. All enemies and towers target Thorfinn during a short period, and his defense is increased for 100% for 6 seconds. So everything in the tile will basically start attacking Thorfinn. You will need to be relatively close. It doesn't work like for the whole tile, but you need to have a certain range towards your opponent. But this is also, first off, super huge because you can hold the whole fight, pull it over to you. So you basically make the units of your opponents useless for a few seconds because they just start attacking Thorfinn, or they run towards Thorfinn where they really do nothing. And at this time your teammates and your warriors can already start going at their army. So very strong relic. What also is underestimated oftentimes is that people are running away in team games from an Ox with this relic, which doesn't work, because if you are running away, I just press the relic, you run back to me, and yeah, I destroy your army at that point. So really good relic, can decide games by a lot, and yeah, I think one of the strongest things about the Ox Clan actually in total. So let's check the tech tree here. Some very interesting lores here for the Ox Clan. First one will be City Builder, also really liked by the snake here. Improving a zone is 50% cheaper in improved zones. Specialized units get a 10% production bonus, and buildings have a minus 50% per upkeep cost. It's just huge. I usually go for full City Builder for all of my tiles before I even get my Thorfinn, because like the reduced upkeep on top with the production bonus, just completely insane, and it only costs 50 gold to do that. Yeah, I'm just gonna spend all my gold at the start of the game just trying to keep my upkeep as low as possible, because that will then give me additional gold, which I can then put into getting my Thorfinn. So yeah, City Builder, one of my favorite eco lores around, and yeah, even makes Snake Clan playable in late game. So then we have military training. Training camps upgrade and upkeep costs are reduced by 30%. Each camp gives you an additional 5% attack power to the associated unit. I can tell you, most of the units in this point will definitely be warriors. The Ox Clan is very, very warrior focused. The reason for that we have over here, because all of the other warriors don't have a charge anymore. The charge is gone from the warriors these days. The shield bearers now have the charge, which is a little bit weaker because they don't have as high of an attack damage and they are not as fast anymore, making the charge ability a lot worse these days because it were like deciding the meta back in the day when warriors still had the charge. For the Ox Clan, the warriors still have the charge. It is a little bit slower than it used to be, so your warriors don't run as fast as back in the day. But your charge attack, the first one, will have 15% extra damage. So the first attack after the charge gives you 15% extra damage, leading to Ox Clan just being one of the clans that definitely still leans very, very much into warriors. If you get full hard countered by a bunch of X-throwers in a 1v1, obviously still go for shields and everything. But even, like, I don't even know if X is actually hard counter a warrior that charges them and does extra damage when it hits. Yeah, there is still ways to play other units, but warriors are definitely the way to go for the Ox Clan here. Try to get them as strong as possible. And yeah, also get the free forge when you go for ferocious charge here. So if you get ferocious charge before the fighting happens, you can get the upgrade for free. For me, it even oftentimes happened that I go for military training for feeling safe because I really need the happiness at that point. Afterwards, the fight might be happening. I go for unstoppable. We'll talk about that right now. And then ferocious charge falls back a little bit, and I get it a little bit later, and I don't get take advantage of the 100% faster update. Maybe just building a brewery and going for charge first makes more sense, but this is what happens pretty often to me. Yeah, unstoppable, one of the craziest laws around. Thorfinn gains 5% attack power and defense for each discovered ancestral equipment. So as there is a maximum of 6, you can get a maximum of 30% attack power and defense for that. Whenever a unit dies in the same zone as Thorfinn, his health slowly regenerates by 10% of the unit's maximum health. So what will oftentimes happen is that you see Thorfinn, even though he's a little bit low, he just goes into the tile, goes for the relic, then he gets a lot of damage. Thorfinn is low. Thorfinn runs out of the tile, so the other units are fighting in the tile, and then you see Thorfinn always just stepping back into the tile for a short moment, just so a few units die in the time that he is in the tile, and he heals up a little bit for free. You will see a lot of people doing that. Just watch out that you have no charging units that you do it against, because losing Thorfinn, of course, 150 gold and 15 iron can oftentimes mean the end of your game, because you can't respawn it, because it is so important. But if you can play around with that a little bit and get a little bit of extra healing going, it can be really, really nice. So the last lore over here is Warcraft. Killing hostile units gives you lore and fame. I definitely didn't play too much with it in multiplayer with Warcraft. This is like the lore of Bifrost, right? Like every clan can be a clear clan as soon as you have Warcraft in Bifrost. Super, super strong lore. I don't know how good it actually is in team games. Please put it down into the comments if you got some experiences with Warcraft in your own games. I can imagine it working pretty well when you actually get the chance to clear a bunch of the map. But if you have a clear clan in your team, it doesn't really make too much sense, right? But yeah, would really know about your experience with that. I think it can be really strong, just really, really hard to make work, and you need to skip on city builder for that, and that would make this like deal breaker for me, right? For me, it's usually straight into city builder. Then if I have a bunch of time, I go into shipbuilding. Usually I will go for ships with the clan. If it needed, I go for coinage, and then I go for the middle tree. Like, this is usually my way to go. If you can squeeze Warcraft in between and actually make it worth, I think it is absolutely insane. But yeah, I think it's not all too easy to actually make that happen. So Oh, military path also over here. Didn't really talk much about the other clans for which military plan I would go. But for me, it's actually most of the times it's always leadership, especially with the Ox clan. It can be really good because of your chief. But especially on Ox, back in the day, like veterans, what we really strong, right? Legions was like the way to go with the Ox clan. I think you can still think about it, but it's not as much bound to like a singular unit anymore. And since Ox Clan is very bound to a singular unit with like the warriors and the ferocious charge and the other upgrades you get, like the training camp upgrade here, I think leadership gets a lot better with the change here for legions not too long ago. Since veterans don't give you the same bonus as before anymore, and you don't really mix up the units all too much, I think leadership is slightly better these days, but yeah, we never know. If you think that legions is better for you, you can definitely go for it. I think nowadays it is better for, just mixing up units. If you do that with Orcs, legions might be your way to go because of the veterans bonus, increase the bonus from your military building upgrades to other units by 50%. But other than that, you're a very chief focused clan, so having leadership will never be bad for you. Will just never be bad for you. So yeah, all in all, Ox Clan, pretty strong clan when it comes to military. Absolutely insane when it comes to the relic. Like I said, the relic can absolutely decide games. There's always the possibility for that. So even if the army for the Ox and the eco for the Ox can be a little bit weaker than for other clans, the relic just completely makes up for it. It is one of the strongest ones in the game. Period. So yeah, that will be the Ox Clan. Let's check out the next one, which will be the clan of the Lynx. Relatively difficult to learn. I wouldn't really say so. I think it's actually one of the easier clear clans to learn because you only get your cats in the early game, and as soon as you have them, you get the self-healing for them, and I think it's actually pretty straightforward. Support only in the sense that you clear other people, right? I would probably also give it a second star because it's a really good clear clan, one of the most consistent ones. This is the thing, like when you play Wolf, when you play Hound, when you play Eagle, you need to have a lot of adaptations to your map. With Lynx, you can do that, but you don't really need to because getting the cats in the early game is relatively easy. So having early cats is usually something you don't need luck for. You don't really need a lot of skill for. You just need to wait for the correct moment. Just get your cats, and at this point, you can clear your teammates extremely consistently. Yeah, starting bonuses is you do not get military experience, you get hunting trophies for everything. Hunting trophies for your special military path, which I think we're going to look at the end. The archery range replaces the X-Thrower camp, so you will have trackers instead of X-Throwers in here. Very strong unit, which can get stronger through your military path. Seeing that later. Also, you can summon both of your cats, Bundur and Kelin, at your archery range, and you can of course also get Mileki. The cats will cost 40 gold and 60 food, or 60 food and 40. I said the same thing, right? 60 gold, 40 food, 40 gold, 60 food. So basically, when you want to go get both of your cats, you need 100 gold and 100 food. This is basically what you need. Your war chief costs 100 gold on top of that and can also be pretty helpful for clearing out in the early game because it will also trigger the healing effect a little bit easier. It's a lot weaker than all the other war chiefs, of course, but in combination with the cats, it is kind of big. In the path of Hunter replaces the military path. Spend hunting trophies to unlock powerful abilities for Bundur, Kaelin, and your trackers. Like I said, we're gonna check that out in a second. Also, your hunters will produce 10% extra resources just in general all the time, which is pretty good because also of a few extra lures we have over here. Let's just check out the military path here, which is special to the Lynx clan. You can get it with a fur. Basically like you would be in a lore tree, you can get your different bonuses over here. First, we have the stealth tree. With the Great Hunt, get trophies on all mystical creatures, and military units have 20% attack power against them. Usually you will only get hunting trophies on foxes, wolves, bears, and boars. After you get the Great Hunt, you basically get it everywhere, just not on units that are from your opponents, right? Opposing units not, but all the neutrals will now give you hunting trophies after that. Then we have experienced hunters. After partaking in a foe kill, military units' attack power increases by 3% until they die. So you can basically have veteran units around that do more damage than other units because they have already killed units before. Pretty good for your army, of course. Then we have fire arrows. Your trackers use fire arrows that inflict plus 50% damage to buildings. That would be towers, only that. And targets have a chance to suffer 1 damage for 3 seconds. So for 3 seconds, they will have 3 ticks where they each get 1 damage. Fire arrows, one of the strongest effects of the Lynx Clan in this tree here. You would want to get that relatively soon. Super high damage, and the damage over time that you do with that. Yeah, I've lost a few chiefs already because of the damage over time here, because it definitely also stacks. I'm pretty sure it stacks. So pretty darn strong. And yeah, fire arrows definitely one that you would always want when you are fighting. Try to always have fire arrows ready. Then we have the hunt tree. Used a little bit less. The first one is super important though. This is the healing effect. So Bundur gains 20% attack power in the presence of Kaelin. In an ally zone or in the presence of Mileki, they also heal each other. So you can put your cats into an allied zone. They will heal for themselves. But as soon as you got Mileki, you can heal everywhere as long as all 3 of them are in the same tile. Not even really all 3. You only need the grandma, so Mileki, and one of the cats in the tile, and they will start healing at that point. So really strong one. Usually always the first one you go for. The next one you rarely see in any games. It is Sharp Eye, and Bundur and Kaelin can reveal undiscovered zones, upgrade the scout camp to reveal an enemy zone, can hide from foes unless war is declared in the zone. This unit consumes 25% food while hiding among wild creatures. So you can basically scout with your cats. This is like the big gist around it. Thing is, the Lynx Clan will oftentimes not scout, so it doesn't really make sense. There's too many strong options around here that Sharp Eyes is rarely ever used. But if you want to, especially in duels or something, it can be a way of doing it. Like the scouting is super efficient with your cats, of course. But yeah, oftentimes you just want to let your scout clan do the scouting and you do the clearing because you're the Lynx. So, Wild Hunter, military units don't suffer supply malice, nor winter attack or power penalty. And because you don't have fur coats as the Lynx Clan, this is like your only way to be effective in winter. Yet again, you will barely ever go for that because the other options are just too strong to being down here. So oftentimes the Lynx Clan will have no fur ready and will be really weak in winter. Keep that in mind when you play against the Lynx. Maybe attack him in winter. He's not going to be as strong. So the last tree here is the nature tree. We go with sibling rivalry, also pretty nice, because when Bundur and Kaelin are together, Kaelin gets plus 40% defense and Bundur produces plus 2 food, I'm pretty sure. So basically a permanent food production, plus you have a little bit of extra defense on one of your cats, which makes clearing a lot easier. The next one is straightforward. Mileki produces free lore outside of combat. Doesn't matter where, just always it gets produced. There's no downside, so absolutely huge. Yeah, wise one. Can be super fun. It is extra lore. Fire arrows are super strong. This is the only reason why you sometimes see people not going for the wise one, because they want fire arrows earlier. Other than that, if you can squeeze it in between and you know you have fire arrows before the fight, go for the wise one. Then you also have double shot. Your trackers can shoot 1 additional arrow at enemies close to their primary target. Secondary targets take 30% damage. So you only, when you would do 10 damage, you only do 3 damage at that point. But it also stacks with fire arrows. So this is absolutely insane. If you can get both of them, man, like you're gonna shoot double fire arrows basically, even though the second one only does 30% damage. It is really strong. Really nice to have, but fire arrows is better. 1v1 double shot against fire arrows wins, so try to get this first. If you have the chance afterwards to get this on top of that, definitely do this. Then we have the path complete. You can do that 3 times, up to 3 times basically. All your attackers gain 5% attack speed when they can attack from distance, plus 10% range, and plus 5% move speed each time this ability is bought. So you can basically go up to 30% range, 15% attack speed, and 15% faster movement. Absolutely huge. If you can get it, it's insane. It's just not as easy because it's really deep into the tree, and this is also why you won't really see Sharp Eye and Wild Hunter. So even if you go through all of here, you just go for more path completes instead of going for scouting with your cats. So yeah, this is why you don't really see these all too often. So, let's check the fame bonuses. We haven't done that yet. For now, at 200 fame, you unlock the Mythical Lure. Once placed, it periodically attracts mythical beasts to the zone more and more as time passes. Each cleared wave increases the size of the next one. The next feast cost is reduced by 7.5% up to 15% per animal your clan killed. This is oftentimes the reason why Lynx Clan will be the feaster of the team, because you just put down this mythical lure at 200 fame, and now periodically there will be waves of animals attacking you. These waves will get bigger and bigger and bigger with each year. You will of course get fur for killing these, but on top of that, for each animal you killed, your next feast is 7.5% less expensive, which at the later stages of waves means just at every single wave you are able to do a feast at 50% reduction. So yeah, can be really, really good. Also to get your furs up, so if you don't have enough fur on the map, you want to still fill up this tree over here, having your mythical lure can be really, really helpful. Keep in mind it costs 50 food or something to actually get that. So, at 500 fame, super interesting lore is unlock Oscorea. This is an ability for Mileki. She can recall the strongest wave of mythical animals you have killed in their spirit form. They come back on for their last rampage on Earth, which basically means you can press the button for a certain amount of time. You will spawn the last wave you have killed. The animals will slowly lose health, so if you just stand around, they will just die by a slow dot which is applied to them. But if you just put that mid-fight, you click that button and you get this you get this ability out. Absolutely insane, and can definitely swing a fight around. If you hear the sound of Oscorea, oftentimes it can even make sense to just run away from the fight if you still can. So if the fight isn't fully happening, you hear the other Lynx is just putting this effect into use, you just run away from the tile, because the animals will slowly die, and if you can stretch the time until the animals just died, you can completely disregard this effect at this point. So, let's go for the relic. Place a trap in a non-enemy zone. Activate on demand to reveal spikes that slow down the enemies as long as they stay within it, and it lasts for 30 seconds. It's a pretty fun relic. Like if somebody goes into a tile and you have trapped it, you can basically activate the trap. They will all get damaged. They will get slowed, which can be pretty fun. But in the end, yet again, same problem like with towers and everything. If you are not getting attacked, it's not going to be worth. So oftentimes you will not see this relic here for the clan. This is definitely more of a meme relic. I've done it a few times just for funsies basically, but in the end the strength is definitely discussable, especially since your opponents will see that you went for the relic and know, okay, he's gonna have a trap anywhere. So yeah, they will be extra cautious as soon as they see that. Bit of a downside there. So let's check the lore tree. One of the most important lures here is Spoils of Plenty. You can place up to 2 standard lures in your territory to attract a savage deer. So even if you don't have deer surrounding you, you can just go for Spoils of Plenty. You build these little standard lures for, I think, 40 wood. There's no building time. You instantly build them, and they are basically small hunter's lodges that you cannot upgrade though. Your hunter's tool improvement is free now, and the forging time is divided by 2. And you gotta keep in mind your hunters in general produce 10% more than of any other clan. So really, really cool lore to give you guaranteed food. It will not be enough for like a late game army, but for 801 action, Spoils of Plenty is definitely enough for all your food production. So next thing is archery mastery. Your first tracker is always free, basically like on Wolf Clan, the first military unit, and reduces archery range upgrade cost by 50%, which can be definitely great. So you're gonna upgrade quite a few of these, usually in combination with feeling safe to give you a lot of happiness because your chief is also out. So yeah, having archery mastery in combination with feeling safe is usually all your happiness that you need. Keep in mind that military strategy is also one of the strongest lores you can have though. May it now be only at 20% after the update. It doesn't go up to 25 anymore, so it's not 5% for each type of friendly unit you have in the tile, but it is only 4, so it ends up at 20. But you gotta keep in mind that you will trigger at least 4 of that all the time, because you have both of your cats, you have your war chief, and you have a tracker. So if you then also get like a bodyguard, I don't know, you can't get it. Okay, I'm tripping. But yeah, you have 4 units in the zone already. So just by default, you will trigger 16% of that. Now your teammate only needs to come in with 1 warrior and you have the full effect. So pretty good. Nimble Paws, one of the stronger ones also. Bundere and Kaelin gain plus 35% max health. They also frequently leap. That will basically let them dodge all the attacks surrounding them. Pretty insane, honestly, for late game fights. Your cats will be extremely tanky, tank all the attacks from your opponents, and then your trackers in the background can basically do all the work. Can be pretty good, especially also for clearing out neutrals. So yeah, keep that in mind. Nimble Paws early can be pretty huge. There's also a way to play Lynx fully aggro, straight into Mitri, into Nimble Paws, into aggression. Yeah, it's definitely worth it and can be pretty good if you're not playing against the Wolf. Against the Wolf, it can be a little dodgy, because Wolf is really strong in the early game. So, the Wild Hunt increases all your animal spirit attack power by 20%. So this is also working for Oskorea. And Mileki can summon spectral beasts to follow her, depending on the number of mythical ways you have hunted. It's not gonna be as many animals, but they're gonna run permanently behind Mileki. And yeah, basically a little bit of extra army, which will then be also a little bit stronger. Can be nice. It's usually something I take behind Nimble Paws, Millstrat, feeling safe. So I want to have all my other lores on the line before I go for that, but it can be a nice addition. It's just additional units, right? Can be nice. So, last thing is poaching. You don't really see that super often, but it can be kind of nice because first, the normal thing, unlock straight route with Miklagard. Your trade routes produce 100% extra crowns like every other clan. Then it comes, you can buy hunting trophies at the marketplace. Prices are reduced by 30%, and merchants produce 15% more crowns. So, can be kind of nice to go for that. Oftentimes you will even go for markets with the Lynx Clan because you have a few minerals left over oftentimes that you can trade away. I also like my docs on Lynx though, because I just think the clan is very, very lore hungry. So having a little bit of extra lore can sometimes be quite the difference maker. But yeah, also poaching with merchants can be a choice for the Lynx Clan. For me personally, Lynx is the best late game clear. So a clear that can clear you, and in the later stages of the game actually has the chance to get stronger and stronger and stronger. It will outpace Wolf by a metric mile. It's absolutely insane. Then you will definitely beat a Hound. Like a Hound, yeah, you can get your late game army, you can get to level 7, really cool. I just got a bunch of trackers with like 3 path completes and fire arrows, and they will light you up before you even reach them, basically. So extremely strong in the late game. I think the only clan that can come close to it is basically the Eagle Clan, because the Eagle also basically the sky is the limit, basically, right? It can get a lot of army. But I think when it comes to late game, for me personally, Lynx is definitely the clan that gets the strongest, with one of the most consistent early clears. So there's a reason why a lot of people really love the Lynx clan. I think the most vulnerable state for it is in the early game, like just after 801, when it goes against the Wolf clan, because it can really get destroyed by an early Eagle. But other than that, as soon as Fire Arrow hits, really strong clan, and yeah, also got some scaling with it. Let's go for the Squirrel Clan. Difficulty to learn can be is possible. A lot of support, would definitely say that. The military is trash, and the development, yeah, I don't know if that would go for full free, maybe just for 2, but because at some point you basically just halt and do what you gotta do. But yeah, for the support, I think it is the strongest support clan around when it comes to support. Like, I think there are stronger clans that can support, but when it comes to support, Squirrel is absolutely insane. Your clan doesn't feast, but instead gather ingredients in its territory, and you can prepare meals. You have a stove instead of a brewery, so yeah, your stove basically is there where your meals are also being prepared, and you will get your happiness from. Andremir is your war chief and can be assigned to it and produce more ingredients. I can tell you this is not as strong. When you send your chief on a stove, it will produce a third of what a cook would produce. So keep in mind to always keep cooks in there. Like, you can put your chief there. Hey, it's free, right? Put it there if you want so. But in the end, cooks are way more important when it comes to ingredients. The clan hoards greedily in anticipation of the winter. 2 months before it starts, and can count on even a 30% increase in production during this period. However, they have a harder time during winter itself, and they consume more food and wood. So yeah, winters are harsher for you, but the 2 months before winter, the fall months, which will also be shown to you with a little brown time, basically. Like, you have the green timeline, which is the normal summertime. Then you have the fall just before winter, where the timeline will go brown, and then the winter comes after that, that is white. The 2 brown months will give you a 30% higher production. So keep in mind to have all your villagers working around that time, because if you do that, that will usually negate the winter consumption debuff that you have. Like, you will be a lot weaker than other clans in winter, but usually that time here should help you out to get enough of a stockpile to be able to survive the winter here. The clan also has a specific win condition, which will be the Ratat score victory, which will basically need you to get 1,000 of each ingredients. You need to have, I think, 6 or 8 active cooks, and then start cooking the meal, which is not all too easy to achieve. But if you're there, hey, it can be quite a flex win to get with the clan. In later stages of the game, I think it is generally possible. I think the biggest problem with is getting the amount of cooks. That can be quite tough, because you can only put 1 cook into a stove. That means you would need to build 6 stoves. That's tough, so you need to upgrade a bunch of them. Yeah, that's even tougher. So yeah, it's not going to be all too easy here. What is way more important is the meals, which is kind of sad that we can't see them over here. The meals are super strong though. I think we're just gonna drop in for 1 small second here to look at them, because it's actually kind of stupid that we don't have a way to do that. Let's go. Shouldn't take all too long here, so I can show you the meals here. Like, super important to know. One of the most important things about the clan. There we go. Right now, of course, all grayed out. You can now see all the ingredients over here that we need for them. Over here, we see how much of the ingredients are produced. You will get some by the tiles surrounding you. But yeah, here we can see the feast that we can get. The meals we can get. At first, you can do them all for yourself. Later on, you can go for a lore to make them stronger and share them among your teammates. That will be able as soon as you reach 200 fame. And you, for example, have the ratatouille, which will give your opponents, your teammates, 1 of each resource of food, wood, and crowns. You have the fish soup, giving you extra lore. Your villagers will arrive faster at the town hall. The breaded fish tiles makes you forge and mine faster. We have the meat stew, giving you less food and wood consumption during the winter, and your scouting speed will be a lot higher. And the seafood buffet, this is one of the military bonuses. This is why they are so much more expensive than all the meals before. It's the seafood buffet, giving you a defensive bonus, or the forest barbecue, giving you an attack bonus up to 15%, and you get military experience. So there's also ways to make them more powerful or last longer. like the meals are the way to play with the Squirrel Clan. Like at first you can, like I said, make the meals just for yourself, but later on you're gonna share them among your teammates. At the start of the game you will have only 50% of the effect coming over to your teammates. So if you would get 4 of all resources, your teammates would only get 2 when you share the meal. But the better your relation with them gets, the better this part they get gets higher and higher. And as soon as you get a great relation, they will also get 100% of the meals, which is basically absolutely insane. Like, it used to be 100% for all the time for the Squirrel Clan. That was definitely too strong, so the Squirrel got nerfed. So if you reach that 100%, I can tell you the amount of helping you do there is absolutely insane. So yeah, we already said at 200 fame, you are able to share the meals with your teammates. Also, there will be a boat with ingredients arrive and give you 200 of each ingredient. Also, your stockpile of ingredients will rise by 200. So yeah, that will also be on top there. So, yeah, we can also say you can make meals for your allies. Effect starts at minus 50% less effective for allies, but become more efficient as your relationships improve. You can also unlock gift routes at the trading post, which is basically trading routes, but you will gain nothing from it. You will gain no gold from it, which makes you the fastest, the second fastest neutral befriender on the game, especially when we check the lore tree later on. The only one that would be faster than you is the Turtle Clan, because the Turtle Clan is absolutely insane when it comes to befriending neutrals, but the Squirrel Clan comes right afterwards. It's also extremely strong. So at 500 fame, you get Plot for the Throne. You gain fame based on your extra population compared to your most populous opponent. Arrival by new villagers increased for 5% by every 100 fame. So yeah, if you have a stack going against you, yeah, you will have quite the fast villager production going on. It's pretty interesting bonus here. Wasn't even wasn't even playing too much with that before, because oftentimes reaching 500 with Squirrel cannot be super easy, but it's definitely possible. And yeah, having the faster villagers coming in just because somebody else has a high amount of fame is actually super insane. So here we have the relic, the Yggdrasil's root. The zone where Yggdrasil's root is built becomes Eldritch. Every 4 months, another controlled zone becomes Eldritch, so it will start spreading all the time. Units in Eldritch zones benefit from periodical production bonuses, and enemy units in an Eldritch zones have a chance to pick a fight with their own kin for 5 seconds. This used to be a very, very strong relic. It just then get a little bit too, turtle-wise, let's say that. So the squirrels just try to turtle, sometimes even go for the specific win condition, and be unbeatable on their own tile. Nowadays, it is a lot weaker. Like when you're in an Eldritch zone, you're not bound to definitely lose that fight. But yeah, it is still pretty interesting. Haven't played around with it for a while since it got nerfed, so I'm also not as much of a turtle player. So maybe again a chance for somebody in the comments to tell me how good this actually is these days, because it is definitely a full turtle relic, and I rarely go for these. I'm usually somebody who attacks with the meals and everything. For this clan is absolutely insane. I don't know how good the defensive of the clan is nowadays, but we will see. Let's jump into the lore tree. First of the lores is stockpiling instead of colonization, which is a big downside actually. You get +1 food or wood for each 100 food or wood you have in stock to a maximum of 10. Also, your food silos don't require a building slot. So yeah, if you are actually stockpiling a lot of resources, which is not too great in Northgard, let's say, but you get a bit of a bonus here when you do that. I think the most important thing here is that food silos don't require a building slot, just to give you a little bit more space in the early game. The extra food production can be nice, extra food or wood production, but usually when you have resources, you want to spend them relatively quickly, because just stockpiling them, yeah, what does it really help you, you know? Like, we can just not build any buildings at the start of the game, just completely stockpile the gold that we have and then attack with 3 warriors in 802, or yeah, you just start using your resources to actually build up your eco. So yeah, it's not too great to actually stockpile, but food silos for free, that's nice. Cooking mastery is one of the key lores for the clans. Usually the clan will try to rush this as fast as possible. Your meal will have improved effects. So basically, we will go up one level of the feasts, of the meals all the time. And the meal food cost is reduced by 20%, which can be a huge difference maker because the amount of food a meal will cost is bound to the amount of villagers it will affect. So the more villagers your teammates have, the more expensive these meals will become, and these meals will become super expensive. I mean like 300, 400 food expensive. So yeah, having 20% less cost there, huge difference maker. Kitchen Nightmare can be a nice lure when you do not have a clear with you. Your next War Chief recruitment is free. Reviving War Chief cooldown is reduced by 50%. You can spawn him in the kitchen, so that is already pretty nice. So yeah, you just gotta build a stove there, and you can build them in there. The 50%, the free recruitment can be nice to just clear you out in the early game. Usually, you want to go straight for cooking mastery, though. Maybe squeeze economics in between, but Kitchen Nightmare is only something that you don't really want to go for. But if you have to, it is an easier way to get your chief out to get your eco rolling. So it's nice to have, but you would like to not go for it. So the last one is economics. All crowns income is increased by 10%, and you gain 4 crowns during meals, which is the most important thing. And also you gain 2 happiness throughout the meals. So yeah, 4 permanent gold production during meals can be worth it to even go before you go for cooking mastery here. Because usually as soon as you got cooking mastery, you start perma-mealing for your teammates. Before that, you sometimes do a few meals for yourself though. And if you are able to gain economics before that, you are already producing gold in that time, which is yet again big difference maker. Can be really nice. If it is not your first lore and then cooking mastery is your 5th, economics will be your 5th lore. So really, really strong there. Usually when I play the clan, I get cleared and everything goes perfect. I go sharp access, stockpiling, recruitment, cooking mastery, then go for economics, and usually also spread around this tree over here, because the middle tree doesn't give you that much. You don't get weaponsmith, which means your military will be weak anyway. Now with weaponsmith being 5% less good, it might make a big of a difference for the Squirrel Clan. I usually like to go for shield bearers, because shield bearers don't have a lot of attack anyway and usually excel at being very, very resistant. And yeah, there's nothing making the resistance bad for the Squirrel. But yeah, your attack power will not be that high. Maybe keep in mind to go for shield bearers here with the clan. I think it is still the best decision to go do. One of the more niche strategies would be going straight into rumor mongering, which would also be a possibility, but you're not mealing for your teammates then. But this goes full into the neutral befriending side. So you increase your relationships with every neutral factions over time. Allied neutral faction gain 20% defense against your enemies, and all relation gains are improved by 100%. So it's absolutely insane. And if you don't go with gift routes, which are better trading routes, basically, they give you more relation, but you get no gold in return. But yeah, with rumor mongering, you can then befriend neutrals so fast. Like I said, the only clan that can go against you there is Turtle, and please do not try to be faster than a Turtle there. Turtle will absolutely let you in the dust, because Turtle is just from another world when it comes to befriending neutrals. So yeah, in general, Squirrel Clan, I would say the best support clan in the sense of getting support. I think the Stoat Clan and Hippo Clan also support clans, which can be sometimes a little stronger than the Squirrel Clan. But from giving out support to your teammates, the support your teammates will get, Squirrel Clan is absolutely through the roof. It's absolutely insane how many resources you can get to your opponent. If you haven't played a game with a Squirrel teammate that is actually mealing for you, I'm very, very, very sorry for you, because it feels so good. You feel like so much of a better player, because you end up having so much more resources, because this Ratatouille is just hitting all the time and you get wood, food and gold all the time. Absolutely huge. Very, very good clan. A lot of fun to play. And yeah, very, very cool also to help out your friends, for example, when you are playing with some people that are new to Northgard. Maybe play a little bit of Squirrel and have them have a little bit of an easier time getting into the game. Yeah, can be a little bit rougher when they then play without a Squirrel, because they don't get that bonus, but I think it really gives you a nice start into the game in general. So yeah, that would be the Squirrel Clan right here. Let's jump over to the last one for this video, and this is gonna be the Rat Clan, with all the rats looking at us at the background here. Difficulty to learn, yeah, can be a little bit iffy. Development, I don't know where that comes from. I think the development should be 4 stars, basically. Military, yeah, it's not the strongest one, and support is also questionable. There's not a lot of support coming from the Rat Clan. Rat Clan is very, very special when it comes to playing with them, because your villagers will all be wounded when they arrive, basically. And so you have wounded military. Wounded and military units do not count for happiness requirement. So if your villagers are low, your happiness requirement doesn't go down. Yeah, you don't have a happiness requirement. If all your villagers are healed, you will be absolutely unhappy on the Rat Clan. So you will always look out to have your villagers have your villagers low, wounded, and yeah, work like that. The clan has different ways to come out of the wounded state, basically. Like, your wounded villagers is not like it is on Dragon. Like, when your villagers are wounded, they will produce 20% less, but there are other ways to work against that we're gonna get into that. The clan doesn't have access to houses, but all non-mystic buildings provide extra housing. So each extra building that you build will give you 1 extra housing spot, and also when you upgrade buildings, you will also get 1 extra housing spot. Your shaman camp will replace the healer's hut, so your military building basically is the shaman camp. You can still go for warriors, shield bearers, and axe throwers. That's possible, but your main military unit will basically be shamans. Shamans can heal. When they are out of combat, they will start healing people in your territory, just as your war chief. So usually you try to rush your war chief instantly when you go into the game, and then try healing with your war chief. And your shamans will then pop out later, and you will heal even more people in that task. Let's first go over all of this, then I explain a little bit more, because there's one special thing that goes into this. When the clan kills foes or die, the corpses are cremated on a purification pyre at the shaman camp, which will start burning then at this point, which will give you just a tiny bit of lore production. I think it's only 0.5 lore production per burning flame in a shaman camp, but if you have 20 shaman camps, that would mean 0.5 for every shaman camp. That is 10 extra lore. Usually you won't have to have 20 shaman camps, but man, maybe. What you also have is the overwork. The overwork replaces the feast here at this point, and this is where the specialty of the Rat Clan comes in. With the feast, you get a 20% production bonus. With the overwork, you get a 40% production bonus. Downside of that is, while you are overworking, all of your villagers will gradually lose HP. So they will get lower and lower while overworking themselves, but they will in fact be more efficient than a normal villager. Since you have the 20% production by being wounded, right? They get a protection malus by minus 20%, but then you get plus 40% on top. So with the overwork, you're actually 20% better than a normal villager. So now you are trying to heal your villagers up with shamans and your war chief, and as soon as your villagers have high enough health again, you overwork again, and they get more and more healthy. So if that would be it already, that would already be pretty strong. We're gonna even pull the lore tree here first, so I can explain this here. Usually we go for lore afterwards, but we're gonna skip forward here with the lore with the Rat Clan. Because what is super strong about the Rat Clan there is going for the upper tree. You go for sharp axes and you go for healing fire. This is like the first thing that you want. When purification pyre are burning, they heal nearby units outside of combat. This effect is 50% less effective doing overwork, which means you put 1 shaman camp in each of your tiles where you are producing resources, which means as soon as your purification pyre is burning, which we will be trying to be doing permanently then by killing neutrals or other stuff, you can ignite that flame for a long time and let it just burn and have your villagers healing while you do that. So you can now heal with your chiefs, and you're also healing with your camps, even though it's 50% less doing overwork. That lets you do more overworks and more 40% bonuses on your production. Then later on you take medicine. Healing units heal 60% faster, so your chief and shamans will now heal even faster on top of of that, which will get you into the point where when your purification pyre is burning, you have the healing fire, you have a shaman, you have a war chief, you can basically permanently overwork. So in the end, yeah, your units are wounded, they produce 20% less, but in the end you are permanently overworking, so your units will permanently produce 20% more than another villager. When then your teammates also feast on tops, it gets absolutely out of hand. Like the production for rat can be really, really strong if you go for this upper tree play. Since we are in the laws here already, let's go completely through it. We have enrollment here. Your wounded units cost minus 30% crowns and to train as military units. So always watch out that when you get a shaman or anything else, that the unit is unit, because it will be a lot cheaper. Then you get pain suppressant. Wounded units move and attack 20% faster. I think this is quite straightforward, right? Especially in days where warriors can't charge anymore. Yeah, having faster units is very, very good. You can either get out of combat really good if you don't really want to take it, or you can hunt your opponents with the 20% faster units. Really, really good to have, honestly. Next one would be Blood Ties. Ayer can sacrifice part of her health to heal all units in the zone over the next 5 seconds. Can be really, really strong when you go into late game, especially when you upgrade a bunch of shaman camps, because shaman camps will give your units a higher health pool, basically. So if you upgrade a huge amount of shaman camps, your shamans will have a huge health pool, and if you then trigger the healing automatically, like your shamans are super, super tough to kill, like in a big fight. Also, a super great counter to dragon, by the way, because when you upgrade your shamans, every time they get hit, they will do extra damage to an opposing unit, basically. And when the dragonkins start whirlwinding and basically do their AoE attack, your shamans will trigger super often and therefore just destroy the dragonkin super fast. So just a natural counter to dragon here on the red clan. Yeah, dragons don't like the red all too much for that reason, but yeah, needs to be a counter for like a strong clan like dragon, of course. Last lore that we're going to talk about here is overcrowding. You can place 2 buildings in the same zone of the same type except defense towers, which can be really nice when you have a farm tile. You just build 2 farms on it, you upgrade one of the farms, and basically all of these 5 farmers will get the 20% bonus. When you upgrade both of the farms, you now have 6 farmers that get 40% of a bonus, which is mega strong. And this is basically the megalopolis style that a lot of people go for, is having your main tile, putting 2 trading posts and putting 2 marketplaces on it, which ends up at 4 buildings that each give you a 20% bonus on your gold production. So in the end, you will have 12 slots for merchants in there, which will be 80% more effective than in a normal market. Like all the other clans can only go for 40% maximum. You can go for 80, given that it is quite the amount of resources you need to put in there. Then on top of that, you can let them overwork, which will in total math give them 20% extra. So theoretically, your merchants should be 100% more efficient than a merchant unupgraded for a normal clan. Given that is quite the unfair comparison, but just to make clear, overcrowding, man, so insane. The only downside for this big trading tile is that you need to put so many resources in that, right? This is 240 to just build the buildings, and then you put 640 wood and 40 stone in total to build that tile. That is not as easy, but as soon as you got it running, you're absolutely insane. Like, you're completely running through, and the gold production is not to stop anymore. Like, really, really good. Yeah, if I play red, I will usually go for medicine first, then go for overcrowding as my next lore, probably go for coinage at this point. Sometimes I will also go for shipbuilding. Usually it is a little bit late for carpentry mastery. If you feel like you're still gonna upgrade a bunch of buildings, go for carpentry mastery here. And then I usually look at the mid tree, like getting enrollment, depending if it's winter or not, getting fur coats or pine suppressant, millstrat, blood ties, whatever. Can be really good. And if you're countering a dragon, maybe think about Monster Slayer. Gives you even more attack power against the dragon and makes you to the absolute counter. So, We jumped a little bit here. We didn't even talk about the fame and the relic, so we do that right now. So the fame bonus, first one, 200 fame. While being healed, your units consume minus 30% less food. Absolutely insane. Like, if you understood what we're doing here, healing, fire, medicine, having our war chief, having our shaman, everybody is getting healed all the time. Everybody is getting healed. So everybody consumes 30% less food. Absolutely huge. We're like pretty easy to explain. Yeah, we are permanently healing, so everybody's getting healed. Everybody gets that bonus. Absolutely insane. Yeah, at 500 fame, proliferation, population reserve can hold +4 villagers on top. So the one thing that I didn't explain yet is that you can kind of get housed on rat. The thing is, when you are on the maximum amount of villagers, you cannot build houses to get additional ones. So let's say you have a maximum of 10 villagers right now, and you're theoretically getting housed at this moment. You have 10 villagers, and yeah, you can't house anymore. Your villagers will still keep generating. So you have 4 villager slots already from the start of the game, where your villagers will keep generating even though you are housed right now. So if you now build a building, these 3 villagers can come instantly. So they will not wait. They are basically all just waiting for their turn, and as soon as you build a building and they have a slot, they instantly pop out. If you have this, if you filled this up, if you have 4 out of 4 villagers in there, then you will actually be really housed, and no new villagers will be respawning. So with 500 fame, these 4 villagers go up to 8 villagers in stock, basically. Let's say you have 8 villagers in stock then, basically. So if you lose villagers, or you suddenly get the housing to put them in, they will instantly spawn and you get them. There are one big thing I forgot to explain about the clan here. Also, the maximum duration of your purification pyre is extended to 6 months. Usually it is 3 months, I'm pretty sure. 3 months, I'm pretty sure, yeah. This is 180 days, which is 3 minutes. Here it goes up to 6 minutes, which is pretty insane. Usually around this part of the game, you are still igniting a bit, but you're not igniting with neutrals anymore most of the times, because there are no neutrals anymore on the map. So you'll usually be igniting through big fights, and there it can be really, really helpful to have like a bigger gauge to actually not lose it instantly, because you cannot run over to a wolf tile or a bear tile and quickly kill it in 803, because there are just no around anymore. They're all dead already. So yeah. The relic of the clan will be the Flame of Muspelheim. You can summon Garm's incarnation at a shaman camp over here. So, brought back to life by a flame of Muspelheim, it will relentlessly hunt for new victims as long as the pyre is ignited. But once extinguished, the corpses will slowly get back to their original form and expire. This is the thing, if your flame is not ignited for your purification fire is not ignited, I think the Garm will actually lose health slowly. But the other side around, when your flame is ignited, he will heal permanently. So yeah, gotta keep in mind to actually keep your pyre up if you go for that. If you have no way of igniting that, doesn't really make sense to go for Garm's incarnation, because it will basically just slowly die. So you need to keep in mind that you can actually keep your flame active, so he will keep healing. Other than that, it's just a really, really strong boar, let's say that, right? A boar that can help you, very, very tanky, can be nice for team fights, and is not all too expensive to pop out. I think it's also like 150 food, 200 food, somewhere around there. And since you, with Shamanic Care, have a lot of bonus food, usually pretty easy to get that one. So yeah, all in all, the Red Clan, really, really, really strong late game clan. Like especially how strong your shamans can get in the later stages of the game is absolutely nuts. The amount of eco you can reach is also one of the strongest ones in all of Northgard. Like with the complete market tile with overwork with plus 80% production on top there. Absolutely insane. There's also a lot of ways to actually play the the red clan. I really like my going upper tree into healing and then spreading around the mid tile after I went for overcrowding. But there are so many different ways. You can also go for carpentry mastery, upgrade a lot more buildings. There's a lot of ways to play the clan. Keep in mind that shamans itself are not the strongest military units, so you can mix it up with warriors, shield bearers, and axe throwers. But shamans can be really good to also heal outside of combat. So you push into a tile with your teammates. At some point, you just suddenly push out. Maybe your opponents are not able to go into that tile without losing the fight, and you can just start slowly healing all of your teammates with your shamans. Absolutely insane, pretty great, and also pretty fun to play. Like Red Clan, definitely one of my favorite clans when it comes to late game. So, and with that, we come to the end of the video here. I hope you've enjoyed that. It has been extremely long, but we also had clans around here today with pretty complicated systems. Yeah, I think even a few with the most complicated systems in Northgard, even though there are quite a few coming still. The owl is still up us. So, yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something about the different clans and got more of an idea which clan would be for you. Yeah, in this video, we talked about dragon to rat. In the next one, we're gonna go from eagle to hippo. Yeah, if you want to see the first one, I can put it down into the description where we talk about the stag clan to the snake clan. Yeah, thanks everybody for watching in. If you enjoyed the video, maybe leave a like down below. It's really, really important if you want to support this channel, because I really feel like YouTube thinks it's really, really important how much likes on the videos are to yeah, promote it to other people. So yeah, hope you did. Hope to see you back on the next one here. Have a great rest of the day, and yeah, bye bye everyone. See ya.